Hi, and welcome to Shadow School. My name is Matt Sandbank. Today we're making sea turtles. Now stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you some simple tricks for bringing an underwater scene to life. Here are the materials you need for this shadow puppet. The sea turtle is a quick and easy puppet to make. All you'll need is 1/2 of a cereal box. You can fit it all on this one panel. Now, this is just a 2-piece shadow puppet, and the basic shapes, we're going to kind of divide this in roughly in half. On the right hand side, do a circle kind of in the middle, but leave yourself plenty of space on all 4 corners of that circle. And then on the left hand side, make a kind of, I would say, like a football shape, kind of a fat football. That's the shell of the turtle. And actually, that could be, I think, a little chunkier. So I'm going to use different color here just to show where we're going to cut out in the end. You don't have to use 2 different colors of markers. This is more to help you see how I am constructing this puppet. If it helps you to use 2 different colors, feel free to do that, but I don't think it's really necessary. It can just get confusing if you make lots of different drawings and lines. Where exactly you intend to cut. I'm not a trained visual artist, so you can see my drawing is pretty amateurish, so it helps me to use multiple colors so that I know where to cut in the end. All right, and then we're going to put a little oval on the front here, and that one will become the snout of the turtle. Kind of like that. And let's give that sea turtle a little tail at the end. So a little kind of almost a triangle, just to kind of make that point kind of meet down there. All right, that's the shell of the turtle. And then for the fins of the turtle, we're going to do, let's go back to my blue marker, like a upside down check mark on both sides here. And then 2 little lines on the bottom. And then to flesh out those fins, we're going to come down here in a straightish line, curve back around and up like that. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, only in reverse. And I didn't really do this second leg right. Let's see. Let's try to fix that. Maybe make it more of a, yeah, that's looking more similar. Told you, amateurish artist. Okay, we'll add some meat to these fins up top too. Kind of just really round all the edges like that. Oh. Now, you want to be careful. Don't draw over the flap there. If you start drawing over here on the flap like that, you'll notice that your puppet will bend in half, and you want that puppet to all be one solid piece of cardboard so that it all shows up flat on the screen. All right, now we're ready to cut out. I might as well go ahead and start by cutting this in half, just so these pieces are a little easier to handle. I like the shell of this sea turtle because it's really quick and easy to cut out. Some of my drawings, some of my puppets end up having lots of jagged edges and really intricate nooks and crannies, and those can take a long time to cut out, and if you make a mistake, you have to do puppet surgery and all that stuff. But with the sea turtle, usually you can avoid any puppet surgery. Put that one aside, and then we'll do the fins. Now, because I kind of messed up on this fin, I'm going to cut a little on the outside of that line just because I'm afraid that I might have to do some touch-ups there, and I want to have plenty of extra room to do those touch-ups. You can always cut more away. It's harder to add extra material to your puppet. Not impossible by any means, but just easier if all you're doing is cutting away rather than adding to. All right, we're coming around the final stretch here. I'm going to go ahead and start talking to you about how we're going to put this puppet together, even though I'm still doing a little bit of cutting here. Now, most of the puppets, it doesn't really matter which side, which piece of the puppet goes on top and which one goes on bottom. But that is not true for this sea turtle. This sea turtle won't work if you put the fins underneath. To get this sea turtle to work, you have to put the fins on top, because to get this puppet to move, we're going to have these fins going back and forth like this. And if they're underneath, you just can't get a straw to reach. You could put a straw here, but it won't be able to move past here because the straw will get stuck. Much easier if you put this on top. Now, the one tricky thing about this puppet is you really want your dot to be right in the center of these two pieces. And so what that means is you can't really reach a hole punch all the way in there. So what you have to do is make a cut kind of right beneath the circle. It's easier to reach in if you're coming in a little bit from the side there. So get that right where it needs to be, and then line this up so that it's in the center. We'll put a dot here so we know where to punch out the hole. And we're going to do the same thing here. Make a cut just a little bit beneath where you want to punch out with a hole. It makes it a lot easier to get that hole puncher situated. If you have the cut right where the hole is, it's really hard to actually get the hole puncher in and cut right where the end of the cut is. You want to just do that cut a little bit south or north of the hole that you intend to punch out. And now we've got these beautifully centered holes, but we've got a floppy puppet. We can't have that, so we're going to take a little bit of tape, and we're going to put it on both the front and the back so that it's held together nice and snug. All right. Do that with both of them. And this puppet only requires one single brass paper fastener. So we're going to line up those holes, drop the brass paper fastener through, hold it down so it doesn't slip, flip over, and fold down. And now we have this turtle which will move its fins. For the straws, we can put one right here on the fins. If the puppet is flat on the table, you want the straw sticking straight up in the air. What I like to do is I like to start the straw at one of the middle parts of the fin and then have the bend almost where the brad is located. And make sure when you're doing this part that you don't accidentally get the tape. If you tape this part to the other part of the puppet, it won't move because the tape will be holding it still. When kids make this puppet, a lot of times they ask me, why isn't it working? And the answer is 90% of the time because when taping this straw, the tape has gone too far and like taped like that. You see, that just doesn't move if we tape it to the head of the puppet. So make sure that tape stays just on this part of the puppet so it moves nice and freely like that. And then for the other straw, you're going to put it right on the head of the turtle. Now this straw is a little bit too long for the snout of the turtle, so I'm going to cut that in half. So I have all the space I need. And I'm going to take a little bit of tape, fold it underneath. Let's do 2 pieces of tape because the head of this sea turtle is liable to take some real wear and tear. So we'll take 2 pieces of tape and fold it under. Sometimes when you fold it under, there'll be this little tab of tape that sticks out. You can just snip that away. And it's as simple as that. And there we have a sea turtle. Now, I think this puppet looks really good on the screen just by itself, but it looks extra good when you can create a blue background light so it looks like the turtle is swimming under the sea. Now, I'm a professional shadow puppeteer, so I might buy a blue light bulb or something called lighting gel, which is this thin, translucent material that you can put in front of a light and turn everything blue. But there's easy ways you can do this at home too. Let me show you. Here, I took a piece of packing tape and I folded it in half so the sticky part was covered by itself. And I just colored it blue with a blue marker. If you hold this up in front of a desk light or a flashlight, you can create this same blue background lighting effect pretty simply by yourself. Thanks so much for joining me today at Shadow School. My name is Matt Sandbank. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you enjoy making shadow puppets with me. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.